The Wambulance.
And I figured it out this year. Like it was.
Nailed it, huh?
Yeah, I added a rub on the outside this year. I've always injected.
That's really what the podcast is going to be about.
Turkey Day.
Are we on?
Oh, we're rolling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry,
it's all
my
gonna be
apologies.
edited, but
It's
you
kind
know,
of the
why
fun
not?
part about it. Like,
Yeah.
I just press play and it's like,
I didn't know. Okay, let's go.
What up, y'all? Today's episode of the RV Voice is brought to you by RV Fix. And let me tell you, if you've ever found yourself stranded with an RV issue miles from the nearest service center, you know how frustrating that can be. Well, that's where RV Fix comes in. Imagine having a master RV tech right in your pocket. Yeah, you heard that right. With RV Fix, all it takes is a quick phone call and boom, you're connected via video call with an expert who can guide you through fixing your issue, saving you both time and money. Then here's the kicker. Try RV Fix risk-free with a 14-day free trial. You'll need to enter your card number just like most subscriptions, but don't worry, you won't be charged until after the trial ends. If you decide to continue, please use the code RVVoice at checkout. This really helps support the RV Voice and keeps us going strong, and we really appreciate it. Seriously, guys, this is a game changer. Stay on the road and keep your RV in tip-top shape with RV Fix. Learn more at rvfix.com. So, welcome to another episode of the RV Voice. Today we have a little different one for you. We're going to actually go and do, the inside, behind the scenes of RV, Bish's RV. Pardon my mess up there. So this is the president, Todd Nuttal. And this is Christy. Christy, what exactly is your title?
Performance coach.
Performance coach.
Yes.
And we're going to dive into that. So one of our 3 pillars is a place where people want to work. And we're going to dive into that a little more as we get into this. But we have a leadership development program here. And not everybody has one. If they do have one, they don't really talk about it. They say, hey, we have one. Cool. Well, it's going to take me a while to get through that. And we don't want to know exactly what it is. But we're going to tell everybody exactly what it is and why it's a big deal here at Bish's. But is there anything else you want to talk about before we get going?
I just say this is a different type of content than what you normally put out there.
Correct.
So why would we have this on your channel? What's the point of it? I think number one, pulling back the curtains a little bit to see what happens at Bish's and to learn something else. There are things that we do that are unique or that are different. Number two, we have had a tremendous amount of success, especially from families of young kids coming and starting careers with us. And it's so interesting how many of them have RVing in their background. So parents, RVers, you may not know it, but our audience might be sitting in the RV next to you who will be the next generation of Bish's RV leaders. So I think it's important to kind of just learn and see and understand that there are great and bright, prosperous careers that happen here at Bish's RV. And there's not a lot of kids that go to college that are raising their hand saying, I want to work in the RV industry yet. Yeah. But more and more of them are starting to recognize what's available here. And largely some of the things that we're doing at Christy we'll get into that she does that make it very, very intriguing.
And you, looking at you two specifically, you guys come from a RV family. RV background family.
Yes.
I did not come from an RV. I come from a farmer family. My dad was a pilot and a farmer, and he sold stuff all the time. So did my mom. My mom did nails. RVing was like a maybe every once in a while with my friends. Like I just went out there. I didn't even know RVs were sold at dealerships, to be honest with you. I lived right by one. Had no idea. It was over my head. But then I stumbled into this, and I sold them, and now I'm here doing this for Bish's RV. But so we're going to talk about leadership development programs, and we also do like a coaching within everyday employees, right? Not just CEOs or upper management. That's kind of the where training really happens, or the everyday coaching, right? Well, we actually coach everyday employees, everyone, and try to give you, I guess, a leadership path, right, to get into that upper level management. So, but before we get into that, let's really talk about Christy's background. Christy comes from Indiana. She grew up in a dealership family and a very successful dealership. Yeah. So I'll let you kind of dive into that and talk about that.
Yeah. I spent 22 years working for my family dealership, which was Modern Trailer Sales in Anderson, Indiana, prior to our acquisition with Bish's in July of 2023. But that dealership was in our family since 1951. My grandparents started the business.
51?
Yep, 1951 was, my grandfather had bought property in 1945, shortly after the war, and decided he was going to have some kind of business on that property, and developed it into one of the largest dealerships in Indiana. My parents ran it successfully for many, many years after my grandparents retired. And then my sister and I worked there most of our careers, myself for 22 years. She was there for 27. Both after graduating college, we decided to go in the family business. So my day-to-day life was very much like most of our employees of what that looks like. So I'm able to talk with them about their roles with that same understanding of what their day is like. So yeah, my background was always in the RV industry, grew up camping. We went camping every weekend. So that was huge for our family. So I have a real love and passion for the RV industry. And that's why it was really important for me to stay in the business even after selling our family dealership. So yeah, that's what's
So
important
not only
to me.
did we acquire Modern Trailers, we acquired Christy.
Yes.
You don't realize how true that is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's interesting because when we were going through the acquisition process, they had bought the dealership from their dad. He had still some partnership in
Yeah.
it, right? And they had got to the point where they're like, okay, we're ready to sell it. And they didn't want to be involved in all of the day-to-day business. But man, they had so much experience and so much talent and so much working knowledge about what goes on in the industry. And we're really attracted to trying to help people who have invested in themselves to go get college degrees and have learned and focused on skill set, but more than anything have learned how to problem solve. I think in college, that's one of the biggest skills you learn is how to problem solve, how to think critically, and it gets put through many different tests and scenarios in college that I think are beneficial. I don't even care what the degree is, honestly.
It's not
No.
really what I learned, but yeah. Social skills was really my biggest thing.
I would agree. I agree with that.
A couple other things tagged onto that, but yeah.
Yeah.
But you got a degree.
Yeah.
There you go. You made it through that.
Yeah, I'm using it every day.
But when you couple that with what's available in the RV industry, and there's an opportunity to lead, to manage, to all of the different skills that are in business, and there are things that are uniquely what's the right word? They're unique to the RV industry. So here you have Christy and her sister Tammy, who had degrees, who've managed the business, who've owned the business, have probably touched every aspect of the business.
Absolutely.
They understood, all the different positions and had been involved at some point in their life in doing everything inside of a dealership. So we were like, man, how are we got to keep them here. Like, we've got to keep them with fishes. And we were on ice for like the longest time. We're like, we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
Don't sign up on leaving yet. And then one day we were actually, Jason Lippert, who owns or is the CEO of Lippert Industries, which is a huge business in our industry that supplies, all kinds of different parts and pieces to the RV manufacturers that they build with. And Jason was kind enough to give us a tour of some of his facilities and his business, and really was kind of open book to us on some of the things he was doing with his company, which was an amazing experience. And anybody that ever gets a chance to listen to what some of the stuff he does, they should. An incredible leader. But he talked about kind of a similar thing. They have a leadership development program, and they want to help better the lives of the people who work there. And they had this coaching program. And I'd never heard of such a thing. They were coaching everyone in their business, and really they put the emphasis on the person and whatever it is that they aspire to, outside of business. If they have a goal to buy their first home or, lose weight or quit smoking or whatever, they focused on the person, the individual. And it was really inspiring. But at the same time, he talked about how it elevated the performance of these individuals at work. And so we're like, wow, this is really interesting. And I remember we got in the car after we had met with Jason. We're driving. I'm like, hey, We just acquired a business that has 2 business coaches that know our industry inside and out, will understand people who've invested in themselves, gone and got degrees, understand the want and the desire to grow within a company, to create a long established career and to be successful. Like, we have 2 coaches. And so Tammy has since retired, but her and Christy started this coaching program for us. And our early indications are it's been a huge success for us.
Yeah. So should we dive into like what the leadership program is? Because that's what we call it, leadership program, leadership development program. Do we want to dive into that first? And then do we want to go, I guess, who is it really for? Because as far as I know, it's for every employee, right?
Well, there are certain positions that qualify.
Okay.
There are qualifying roles, but that can be anything across the company, from technicians to parts sales folks. I don't like how I said that. To technicians,
It's not cutting cuts,
to
yeah.
parts outfitters, in the sales department, service. Really, we have a platform developed for any qualifying role.
Okay. All right. So
Talk just a bit
Yeah.
about that, because I think that's important. One of the best predictors of future success in leadership and management that we've identified is the current level of success of an employee. So when they come into the position, we want them to realize there's a path for promotion, but at the same time, you got to realize like you got to win where you are. And so we really focus on that. So maybe talk just a little bit when you talk about qualifying, what you mean there.
So if you are a parts outfitter, so somebody that is selling parts over the counter to customers, we're a very competitive company. We compete with each other, with different stores. So for a parts outfitter, they have to be in that role for 6 months and be at the top 25% in the company as a parts outfitter. So every position has a metric like that applied to it, so that there is a clear path. When somebody starts with us in a role, we are able to tell them, hey, if you meet this metric and you've been with the company for at least 6 months, you're going to be qualified for our leadership development program, which that has a very set list of milestones that we have people train and learn that they can go through, so they have a clear path and a clear understanding of what I need to do to qualify for a management role. And I help them along with that and help them with the accountability that they need to learn all this material. So that gives them the opportunity to apply for any management position, in any of our stores. And we have developed that all the way up to general management positions.
oh my gosh. So we have, this is a little like, so how many, you said general managers, how many employee jobs are there? I mean, so when you're at the dealership level, I haven't been there for a while. There's service writers, there's service technicians, there's sales managers, finance managers, there's sales outfitters, there's parts outfitters, how many are there? And then is there a route for every single one of those people?
Yes, everybody can go into a qualifying role. And basically, like Todd said, you have to be successful where you are before you go into the program. And then the program, you're asked to finish it within a year, and you have every 3 months, we look at your progress for 25% completion and make sure that you are really taking it seriously and taking the time to better yourself and learn these different milestones.
Okay, so is this an online platform or did we create this platform? How does that all look?
We created it. We do use an online system so that people know what they have to view or what they have to learn, and they can check that off, and their managers can also check it off that it's efficient. But a lot of it is sitting down and training with a manager that's already in that role that you want to learn from, or sometimes it's reaching out to another location, another manager, and sometimes my job is connecting them together to make sure that individual has the full support that they need to learn how to do that role that they're training for.
And there's 2 steps. She talked about the qualification process. So you come into a position, and if it's a qualifying position, so like a technician or a sales outfitter or parts outfitter, those positions can qualify. Once you've hit the benchmarks, so like in her example, you're one of the top 25, or in sales, there's some thresholds you have to hit. Once you hit that, then you qualify for entrance into our leadership development pipeline. Inside of that pipeline, now you're probably gonna get more time with Coach here, and she's gonna help work with you to work on some different leadership and management skills, some specific readings and studyings and just different things that they work on over time. And she's actually created like a card, like a view. It's online. We can go in and we can see how much. So say there's 100 different things they have to do in the leadership development pipeline to be prepared to even interview for and qualify for an interview into one of our leadership positions. We can go in and see how many of those 100 things have been completed. And that's open viewable to all of our hiring managers within the company.
Huh. This is pretty, I guess, well built, sounds like.
Yeah. And, my day is spent, I'm only helping other employees, coaching other employees on performance. If they're not yet in the program, trying to help them get there. But yeah, that is what my job is I work with employees all day, every day, to help with bettering their career, bettering their development, and making sure they have all the resources they need to get to that next step that they want. And like Todd mentioned, that information is viewable to every manager in the company. So once they reach a certain level in the leadership development program, it opens up a door of opportunities for them to interview for if a hiring manager reaches out to them. But it really keeps allowing them to advance for better opportunities, not necessarily even at the dealership they're at, but at any of our dealerships in the country.
And this is available for all employees, right? So like,
yes.
Are you seeing, I guess let's try diving into the metrics a little bit behind it. So like, are you seeing that people aren't doing it doing worse? People who aren't doing it doing worse, and the people who are doing it gaining much more ground than people that are just kind of winging it?
No, people in the program are definitely much more engaged.
Yeah.
These are people that are already self-starters, that are self-motivated.
You kind of got to be at that 25%,
Yeah.
right? You have to be at that whatever tier, and then like once you're there, the door's open to you. You want it or not.
Yeah, they're driving it. And just in the last few months, we've had 7 internal promotions out of the program. And as we've put more dedication and structure to it, that's only going to get better. Right now, we have roughly 60 people in the program, and there's only going to be more promotions out of it.
So you've seen, like, I guess in the since you started this, it's been a year?
About a year and a half.
About a year. I'm guessing you've seen some ground taken. Like you gained some ground, and this is actually gaining some traction and actually making people better.
Yes.
Like lots better.
Well, yeah, and we've talked a lot about the career progression, but talk just a little bit about what you've seen in their current position.
There you go.
Yeah.
From coaching.
Yeah. With the coaching role, a lot of people, they're able to self-identify some of their weaknesses. And sometimes that's not something they want to talk to their managers about. You don't want to point out your flaw to your manager, even though they might know it. But they're able to talk. We're able to talk about that and talk about, okay, what are we going to do to change it? And it's a little bit more of a real conversation than it might be with their manager, because I'm not coming at it from a point of criticism. I'm coming at it from a perspective of, okay, we know that's a problem, so what are we going to do about it? And talking about that accountability, and then being able to celebrate those successes when they make those little tweaks, in their daily process or their routine, or just helping them. Sometimes it is helping them identify that this is a self-induced problem that you can control, so to drive whatever their goal might be, if it's a sales outfitter, to, for them to sell a certain amount per month, trying to get them to that. And I mean, it's a great feeling when you're able to send an email, say, hey, I saw that you hit extreme or you hit elite. It feels good too, to help them be able to do that.
Yeah. For those listening, extreme and elite are a sales tier.
Well, really, it's a performance tier across many
Is
different
that true?
positions.
Really? See, I was in sales and sales alone. So
yeah, service outfitters,
Yeah.
technicians have pro elite. So it's just a gauge of like how well they execute every month. But we did see early on, like she said, we saw some trends that the teams and the stores that were engaged in the coaching, we saw their stores on average hit the pro level much more consistently than the ones that were not. And it's continued to this day that as they're coached, the likelihood increases that they're going to hit their goals. And I think it's so interesting because sometimes, Christy, correct me if I'm wrong, you are talking specific to performance, you're talking about the business, but sometimes you're talking about the person.
Yeah.
And you're really coaching them on.
Yeah. Sometimes we're coaching some simple things, time management. We've had a few employees that, we all work to earn money, right? But there's always something at the end of that, so sometimes it's about an individual that wants to buy a new house or buy a new car. So they're working towards something else. I mean, there's always another motive why they're trying to be successful. So sometimes it's being able to identify what that might be other than you need to hit this goal because your manager said you need to hit it. Really having them tell me what their goal is. And a lot of times it's things that are outside of here, but this is the vehicle that's going to get them there. So being able to talk to them about some of those successes. So
yeah, and there's people out there that are okay with being where they are, and they do a good job at it. It is what
Absolutely.
it is. There's people okay with that. Personally, I'd love a coach. Like if I can get better, I'm not always great at coaching. I as in receiving coaching, I was usually pretty good at it, but. if I could, learn how to receive coaching better. Sometimes I just don't do well with, authority all the time. That's probably a better way to put it. But coaching, why would you want to coach, right? Why would you really want to get better? Well, one, money's a driver, always a driver, right? Yeah. Productivity. You're going to be happier if you can produce better. You can make other people happier. But if you would want to coach in the RV industry, this is prime example. Another prime example. They've both been in the industry. What do you?
22 years.
A little over 15.
Both a decent amount of time. They're tenured people, right? So, but why would someone really want a coach to get better? Why would you think that?
I think to look at it from a different perspective, to hear having someone else hold you accountable outside of a manager, I think is crucial for a lot of these people. And sometimes I feel like I'm a sounding board for them, that they have a problem or a frustration that they want to work through. And I think it's really important at Bish's that we acknowledge that with our employees, that, hey, sometimes it is just a sounding board, and helping them figure out, okay, how do we need to resolve this? And if it's a problem in their role or, anything else, just helping them work through some issues and how to professionally do that. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people, coaching is a different perspective other than your manager saying you have to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's just a different way for them to, talk through their goals and what sometimes holds them back, their objectives. Yeah.
Interesting. What do you got over there, buddy?
Well, I'm curious, Christy, what have you seen as far as the tenure of employees that you coach that get into the leadership program from the time maybe that they even have started with Bish's to now the time that they're either qualifying for, and several of them have been promoted. Mm-hmm. If someone's out there listening to this that says, man, I'm a great performer, but I feel like I'm kind of dead-ended, or I've hit a capacity or a ceiling, and I don't know if I could keep moving on, like where I'm currently at.
Right.
It's probably one of the number one reasons we've recruited people who are really producing where they're at. They're happy where they're at, but they just don't feel like there's another level of achievement that they can go to. If someone like that comes into the industry or into our business, what type of time level or time frame from the time they start to the time that they're seeing some promotion, what would you say is your average time period there? Do you have any insights around that?
I haven't seen that specifically yet, but I do feel like a lot of times when somebody's a little bit more eager to get into leadership development when they're new to the company or newer to the industry. So especially a lot of our new hires, that's something they hear about it. They want to go right to it. How do I get there? How do I qualify? What's the next step? But with that being said, we also have a lot of people that are in the program now that have 20 plus years experience. There's an individual that worked for me and he's in the program and he's wanting to better educate himself and decide if management might be an opportunity for him, because when we were a single lot dealership, there wasn't really anywhere else for him to go. Well, now he has options because he could become a manager at another location. So we see people that are tenured that are successful in the program, but most of the people that are in the program now, I would say, are new hires that have been with the company for less than 2 or 3 years.
So someone that, from the outside that's hearing this can recognize you could come into this industry, become successful, and learn the path, and within a couple of years, you're on the track to management inside of our and leadership and running, some of our facilities. I mean, these are $100+ million locations in terms of revenue. So these are large businesses that you're running.
Yeah. I mean, we have one individual who is now working at our second largest dealership that has been with the company. I think he came on in June or July of 23, straight out of college. And he is now the operations manager at our second largest location. He immediately set out to qualify for the program, was able to move through the program quickly. And we're going to have him in another tract because this doesn't stop. Like we mentioned before, you can qualify at, a lower level and then keep moving up to general management. And that's what we'll do with him. But within a year time frame, he's already an operations manager in the service department at our second largest location.
So is it fair to say for him now he's focused on qualification again?
Yeah.
He's back in the seat of I got to get qualified.
Yes.
And then once he qualifies, now he'll be looking into service leadership, general manager leadership.
Yes. So we're going to, train him up that he'll eventually be on that GM path in a few years.
Sounds like you're killing it.
Yeah.
This is leadership development program here at Bish's RV. I think it's great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I wasn't around for it. I paved my own path a little bit.
Well, there's that too.
You got robbed, man. You didn't get to get coached.
Yeah, and nothing. Yeah, here I am just coaching myself.
Tell us.
Got Shane coaching now.
Shane's
helping.
Tell us a little bit, just real quick. What does a coaching session look like? I don't care if this gets on the podcast or not. I'm curious to know. Like, what does it look like?
Yeah.
What's...
most of them I would say on average 45 minutes. Typically in my first coaching session, it's more of kind of a get to know you. I want to know a little bit about them, what their background is, what their previous employment was or, college. And I'll tell them, about myself, about my background. But usually that first session is let's get to know each other because you're going to be stuck with me for a while. And then usually second, we'll go into more of true accountability coaching. Some of it with the leadership development, it's just kind of a walk down of what we have to do in the program. And then identifying, okay, what are you going to get accomplished between now and our next phone call? Most phone calls are about 30 days out, or Teams meetings, I should say. But most of it's an agreement of what are you going to do between now and then? And you got to do your regular job while you're doing that, but what are you going to do between now and then? So I usually also follow that up with an email reminding them, this is everything that we said we were going to do. So that way, for me, I can remember what we talked about next time as well. And I'll make sure they have all that done, and we just kind of keep rolling through that. But in those phone calls too, if there was a holdup, we talk about that. What happened? Why weren't you successful in what you said you were going to do? And we also talk about their current role, making sure that they're still succeeding where they're at. Look at metrics through that as well.
Okay, so this isn't just like a get online, do your courses type deal. This is a face-to-face Teams call.
Yes.
Whatever, Zoom call, whatever it is, Teams with us.
Yeah.
But just so everybody understands. So it's a walkthrough, almost like seeing your therapist, right?
A little bit. I've
don't
had
have
some
one,
people think
but-
I was like their life coach. And I'm like, I'm not a life coach. I'm not, I'm
Position
an
coach.
RV. Yes. RV industry. Yes.
Okay, so you're directly helping them through their exact role. So whether it be through parts, sales, management, whatever it is, that's coaching. That you are the coach for all these employees.
Yes.
How do you handle everybody?
Most of them are really great to work with.
Yeah.
Time management has been
Coaching
key.
yourself on that?
Well, and so most people, some days there won't be that many, but I usually try to schedule 5 or 6 sessions a day, especially with the leadership development people, trying to work through that. But yeah, my day is pretty full talking with these individuals. But, I feel like we're able to get a lot accomplished and get a lot of people, basically building our bench of future managers so that we have people ready to go when they're needed.
Making them much more well-rounded. And this is during work, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is your half-hour block during work. I mean, I'm sure I had a half hour every once in a while.
Have you had people that have pushed back on the process that maybe like, I don't know if I like this?
Yeah, I mean, we've had that, and sometimes that happens, and it doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. I've had it from new people. I've had it from people that have been in the industry for 30 plus years. They're kind of like, what is this about?
So JB, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Other people are.
Well, it's okay.
So yeah, but I would say 90%, 95% of the people, they're willing to be coached and talk through because none of us are perfect. And, we want to, where can we get better? I have a coach. So where can we get better? How can that be done? So we're just looking for areas of opportunity to improve.
The coach's coach.
Yep.
Put her in the contacts. Well, cool. I think this is great. If you're an employee here or want to be an employee here, check out bishes.com. And if you're an employee here, talk to any of us, reach out to anybody, I guess, at the DSC, which is the Dealership Success Center, not corporate, because corporate has a bad connotation, apparently. Anything else you'd like to add? Did we hit it all on the head? Did we nail it all?
I just have one question because her
Okay.
daughters go to the University of Indiana
Okay.
right now. So I just want to know, do you win?
Of course we win. Google it. No.
Google us. All right. Everybody stay tuned for more from the RV Boys.